For those of you guys who don't know what Ruach HaKodesh is, I'm just going to fix this screen a little bit. Ruach HaKodesh is, I guess you can directly translate it as divine inspiration. It's something much deeper than that. It's basically where Hashem uploads or downloads, depending on how you're looking at it, information that a human being with human, what we call seichel, human consciousness, would otherwise not be able to have or generate. And Hashem does this at certain moments, either in a person's life or in certain moments in history with certain groups of people, for the purposes of achieving some sort of goal or some sort of mission or putting something into the world. For example, Kabbalah, the study of Kabbalah, came into the world via Ruach HaKodesh. Certain rabbis over certain, depending on who you ask, whether it was 2,000 years ago or 1,000 years ago or even 500 years ago, certain rabbis, certain teachers, certain sages acquired a certain knowledge, and they acquired it with something called Ruach HaKodesh, to where Hashem just implanted a certain body of knowledge into the world. And again, it doesn't have to be even necessarily quote-unquote religious. It could be something, for example, the Enlightenment happened via Ruach HaKodesh, All of this body of knowledge was uploaded into the human consciousness, human psyche, by Hashem. And it looks like people just, on the surface, it looks like people just acquired it and created it on their own, out of their own, talents and whatnot. But what I want to speak to you guys about today, in this particular situation, especially the people who were downloading this information and uploading it into the world, or vice versa, they knew that what the ideas and the concepts that they were getting were from another realm. They knew that this came from Hashem. And I'll tell you guys, it's interesting. You guys probably I've seen my blog before, and you always hear me talking about, the future of the Jewish people is in Israel, and the future is in Israel, and I'm always talking about Aliyah, and Israel, and there's like I'm here visiting family in New York, in the States, in the New York area, and there's attacks here all the time, and there's Jews are being harassed, and there's no future for Jews here. That may be true. All these things that I just said are true. But with that said, I'll tell you guys, today's December 24th. We just had this whole election process, and we still have this whole election process going on. For those of you guys who actually, you don't read the mainstream news, for those of you guys that are reading alternative news sources, where they actually reporting, in actuality, what's been going on with all these hearings and all of these evidence presented, a lot of evidence, a lot of affidavits, a lot of witnesses in different states, Georgia, Michigan, Arizona, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and you guys can listen to all the people that say, oh, all this stuff's been thrown on a court. I haven't heard one person who said that, who actually specified what's been thrown on a court, right? So that's another conversation. But the point is, now after all this stuff was presented, and after we went through this whole process of the Supreme Court and stuff getting thrown out, and the media and all these kind of things, we're about to see something in action, my friends, that I think this country maybe saw, I would say, when was this? 200 years ago, maybe? The conversations that are being had right now, for example, in the White House, haven't been had in 200 years. And we are about to see everything that we have learned, for the people who went to school, high school, grade school in America, everything we've learned in civics class and government class, about the Constitution and all these other things, we are about to see it in action. And my friends, I'll tell you, I live in Israel. We have a Knesset. We don't have a Constitution. We have kind of a balavagan of a system over there. But I'll tell you something. As far as man-made systems are concerned, man-made, not Hashem-made, but man-made systems are concerned, the system that is in place in America and the way that it was devised and the way that it was designed and framed is something where the people who created it with Ruach HaKodesh. These people, namely Adams, Jefferson, you're talking about the Continental Congress and all these other people. These were Franklin. These were people who were given Ruach HaKodesh, right? However flawed you may see everything that came, everything that was happening actually at the time, and you're talking about slavery and all these other things, and the things that happened before that with colonization, and the things that happened after that, and war, and all these other things, there was a Ruach HaKodesh, and you guys are going to get to see in a couple of weeks, actually exactly on January 6th, this incredibly framed, created system play out. However it plays out, no matter what the result is going to be, whether what we call Tov Shebeis ends up staying in, or whether unfortunately a certain force will take power in the land of Esav. No matter what happens, we're going to see something before our eyes, a kind of theater of sorts, and this will be played live. I'll tell you guys, this will be played live, 1 o'clock Eastern, January 6th, and we will see, the Vice President doing what he is entitled to do. We will see the Congress, we will see the Senate, all of these incredible apparatuses doing what they were designed to do in these situations where people, or certain amounts of people, let's say a lot of people in the country, don't trust the way that their process was handled, and on top of that, the media is doing a complete blackout of these proceedings, and which makes the people even more distrustful of everything that's happening. And you guys will see the genius of this system. And again, I'm telling you guys, as a person who grew up in America, left America, moved to Israel, now I'm here in America visiting family and giving moral support, family issues, but the point is, I have to give it up to the people who founded this country, because Hashem really came down. He came down with His knowledge, and He implanted it into the minds of these men, and it's a sight to behold. And I'll tell you guys, it's interesting if you guys look at what was happening around the world at that time. You're talking about the late 1700s. If you fly, you get on a virtual jet plane and you fly over to Eastern Europe, what was happening in Eastern Europe? You're talking about the Hasidut movement, the Hasidus movement. Actually, Baal Shem Tov, I think, passed away at that time, but his students, talking about Maggid Mezrich, and then after that came the Alter Rebbe, the person who wrote the Tanya. All of these wellsprings of Jewish philosophy, wellsprings of Torah, Kabbalah was taken and it was harnessed into something that was then palatable to the layman, right? So now you had these parallel movements of, you have Hasidut, like redacted, so to speak, Kabbalah. I hate to use the word redacted, and then on the other side you have this incredible system that was created, and yes, it had to be fought for, it had to be wrangled over, it had to be debated about, it had to be changed, there were amendments, there was situations where certain groups of people, 3/5 of a person, African Americans, and people fought wars over this, and then again they fought wars, and then again we had battles, and then we had protests and battles and all, And Rav Kook says, actually, if you guys know Rav, what's his name, Avram Yitzhak HaKohen Kook, he actually says, those whose foibles are great, the consolations are even greater, right? So America falls into that category as well. It's not just the Jewish people in Israel, right? And you guys see it playing out over basically since the founding of this country. And in my opinion, it's the greatest experiment that was ever attempted in terms of government and governance, and again, it's something with Ruach HaKodesh, And I'm telling you guys, as a person who moved to Israel, who made Aliyah, who realized, okay, maybe there's no future here for the Jewish people. The future of my family is in Israel, and if I am to connect to Hashem, if I am to do all the mitzvot, it's in Israel. That's my feeling, that's my sense, that's my intuition, that's my sixth sense. But with that said, I have to marvel. One must marvel at the Ruach HaKodesh, divine inspiration with which, essentially the land of Esav was given this incredible system, and you guys are going to see this play out on January 6th. I mean, it's already kind of playing out. It's already, you guys are seeing certain, for those of you who are watching, kind of like beneath the surface. For those of you, there's a guy on YouTube. He calls himself Toto. So you guys are Toto, and you pull back the veil from the veil of what's his name, the Wizard of Oz, right? Which is basically what the media and the Democratic Party are doing right now. The mainstream media, they're basically this is all a Wizard of Oz situation. They're trying to stay on message. They're trying to, every time you read below your YouTube, I'm going to post this on YouTube, you're going to read below my face, below my torso, you're going to read, the AP has concluded that such and such person is the president. And you guys post something about voter fraud, and it says, this is disputed. Twitter says this is disputed. YouTube says disputed. Facebook says disputed. Or you're going to get banned, or you're going to get I don't know, what have you, right? Zapped. So, my friends, if you pull back the veil of all that stuff, and you actually look at what's happening, you open up a PDF. You look at actually the cases of these hearings in all these different states. You look at the testimony. You go on YouTube and you find testimony of people, experts, statistical experts, statisticians, mathematicians, all kinds of people, and we already see a process playing out, right? We already see a process playing out, and then so in January 6th, what you guys are actually going to see is the culmination of all of that. And the only thing that I will say, and I'll tell you guys something interesting, many people thought that when Trump appointed these two people to the Supreme Court he recently appointed, that this was his way of being a dictator. Actually, I spoke to a good friend of mine, love the guy, but he told me this is how Trump is going to enact his dictatorial powers. He's going to stack the Supreme Court, and lo and behold, this case went to the Supreme Court, the Texas case, you guys remember, and the two people we thought who were going to be in it to win it were persona non grata, right? So now they cannot accuse him of being a dictator. Now everything goes to the legislature, and all the information that they have comes from the individual state legislatures who are handling these issues. You're talking about Georgia, Michigan, Arizona, Nevada, Pennsylvania, these 5 states. I think there's another one. I mean, there's more, but these are the 5 states that were in the spotlight, right? So now, and all it's going to take, you guys know, all it's going to take is 2 people, 3 people in the Congress to object to this, rubber stamping of electoral votes, and then they have a debate, and then they have a vote. Each state gets 1 vote. My friends, I cannot speculate what's going to happen, because there's no such thing as a guaranteed vote for coming from let's say a particular party, or dominance of a particular party, a particular state. There's no such thing, right? We don't know, because at the end of the day, we are in a situation where there's no more Republican and Democrat. It's either people who are part of the establishment or people who are not, right? Just like my friends kind of gloating to me and telling me, you see, even the Republican judges, even the Republicans over there in that state went against Trump. And I said, that R next to their name at this point in the year 2020, November, December, January, means absolutely nothing. Either these people are for the establishment, either these people want to, leave their job as a lawyer in the White House and go to this lobbying group and want to be invited to these parties and want to make 10 times more money than they are making right now, or they're actually patriots and they want to, they want good for this country, right? And you guys may say, well, this guy is this and this guy is that and blah, 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 and this president is like this. My friends, that's a whole other conversation. I'll tell you very simply, I look at people's policies. I look at their policies, right? I was watching yesterday a movie, if you guys ever seen this movie, Distinguished Gentleman, with Eddie Murphy. And at one point, Eddie Murphy, he's kind of this guy, he's like a shifty guy, basically a con man who somehow got into Congress. And he starts exposing this kind of deep state swamp kind of guy. This is 1992. Who's his boss? He's the committee leader. And at the end, the very end, the end scene, there's this whole committee and the media's there and all that kind of stuff. So this guy gets up and says, this guy has a rap sheet longer than, whatever. The interstate highway, right? And so Eddie Murphy gets up and he grabs the rap sheet, his rap sheet, and he goes, ladies and gentlemen, all of these things are true. All of these things are true, except for that one thing. That lady got her shoe back. You guys got to see this very funny scene, right? But, however, the stuff that I've done, and all that stuff that I've done, yeah, it's all shady stuff, but the stuff that I've done here, in this Congress, in this body, is totally legit. So I want to tell you guys, all of the things that you're accusing Trump of from his previous life, and I had another video which I made about this called Trump to Baal Tshuva, they're all true, my friends. They are all true. But you know what? The stuff that he's done in Washington, in terms of going completely against the establishment, and just completely, like, I don't know, you're talking about Israel, we're talking about the NATO, we're talking about Iran, we're talking about all these other things, China, which is now basically, you know, the topic of conversation that the media, again, refuse to talk about because they know that they're complicit in this whole thing. I'm not even not going to get into it. But yeah, my friends, this is basically the story. This is Tov Shebe'esav. This is the internal battle of Esav. Tov Shebe'esav versus Rasha Be'esav. And I'll tell you guys, this whole story began 200 years ago, actually more. And, you know, the men who founded this place, who founded this country and built what it is today, kind of in the long game of history, they had Ruach HaKodesh, they had divine inspiration. And anybody could get it. It's not just Jews. And these people they knew Torah, they knew Tanakh, they knew Hebrew. Non-Jewish people, non-Jewish men. And in 2 weeks, my friends, you guys are going to see this play out, however it plays out, but you'll see the incredible, just, I can't even call it seichel, just the foresight that these people had. But again, they were given this foresight by Hashem. They were the sages of the nations, the sages of the Gentile nation. And it's going to be a sight to behold. And no matter what the result is, my friends, I will just sit back and I will marvel at this whole system. And I think even the people who, so to speak, have a guilt about this country, have a guilt about how this country was founded, and I don't want to use the word self-hate, but they have a guilt about it. They have really a guilty conscience. Even they will watch at the proceedings and they will marvel at this system and they will say, thank God. No matter how it turns out, they will say, thank God we have the system that we have in terms of, you know, the electoral college and the electoral system, as opposed to just this popular vote and mob rule. And yeah, my friends, that's really all I wanted to convey to you today, and just to understand that at the end of the day, yes, it is one of the exiles for the Jewish people. America is one of the exiles for the Jewish people. It's the land of Esav. But it's also a land of Hesed. It's a land where Esav became Tov, where Esav became good, and now Esav has a choice. Is he going to remain Tov, and is he going to do the Tikkun, help the Jewish people, help Yaakov and his royal do the Tikkun, or help Yaakov become his royal, or is he going to devolve and just sink back into his old self? And either way, Yaakov will do the Tikkun, but it's going to be a little bit harder, my friends. So with that said, the vents are on, and I'm coming off, and hope you got something out of this. Alright guys, it's been real, and I'll talk to you guys very soon.